Hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of Crazy Critique. Now, the newest theatrically released film that I've been to see this week, it wasn't this week, it was last week, but who's checking? Is the latest Disney animated film to be given the live action treatment. And that film is, of course, The Jungle Book. It's been out for quite a few weeks now. Now, where to begin with this sort of film? Now, it's directed by Jon Favreau, who obviously in recent times has directed the first two Iron Man films. He sort of took a back step from big films briefly and made the film Chef, a bit of a personal project for him. But he's stepped back into the big studio system and made this adaptation. Now, what kind of adaptation is this? Is it something that is paying great credit to the source material of the Rudyard Kipling novel, or is it a film trying to just effectively make a live action version of that Disney animated musical film? And the answer is exactly what you expect me to say. It's a complete mix of both. And what shall I sort of the tone of the film? Now, the tone of the film is one of that is actually quite dark. It's a PG. Is it on the edges of PG? Quite possibly. And the reason why it possibly is because of how real, effectively, the effects are in this film. Now, this is a film that has been completely, in terms of every sort of environment of the film, has been computer generated. Now, usually when you hear that sort of thing, you're like, oh, please, right, okay. And you do take a gasp of breath and a sigh, and you go, oh, right, okay, let's see what we get then. But it is beautiful. It is beautifully animated, and you do forget you are looking at a completely computer-generated environment. It is that visceral and that effective, and that effectively used as a tool. So kudos to Favreau and his effects team, because they have made something that is in a sense the same sort of vein as something like Avatar, where you forget you're looking at something that's completely CGI, but is completely real to you. And there's particular moments in the film that emphasises. I'm just going to cite just one or two. One main one for me was how real Shere Khan was looking. And you can't fake that sort of. It's really hard to convince somebody of a computer-generated animal. And considering this is an animal that has a threat about it as well. So it's completely brilliantly animated, the tiger. And another thing is that there's a bit where Mowgli is actually holding the head of one of the wolves from the wolf pack. And he's putting his hands through the fur of the wolf. And it just looks absolutely real. It is wonderfully animated. So two examples there that I've cited in regard to how good it is. Like I say, the tone is quite dark. I'll set up the general premise at the beginning of the film. So of course most people will have seen The Jungle Book already. Effectively, that sort of storyline goes that Mowgli has to go back to the man village because Shere Khan is out to kill him, effectively. That plot is kind of, again, utilised here. The film opens with effectively with all the animals of the jungle, in India this is, of course, are going to a watering hole. But there's been quite a drought, so effectively there's been a water truce between all the animals, so no predator can prey on the prey, if you will, on the small animals to feed. But Shere Khan turns up. He gets the smell of the man-child. Sorry, not man-child. The man-child. The man-cub. And pretty much says, once this watering hole is again, when the rains return, I will come and seek out to kill Mowgli unless he is gone from the village. Or unless he has been expelled. So the debate begins, obviously, where the pack have to decide whether to get rid of Mowgli or not. Mowgli effectively volunteers to leave the pack himself in order to protect his own pack, and then Bagheera the Black Panther, volunteers to take him back to the man village. And that's our premise of the film. I'm going to go from that into the voice cast. Now, since I've just mentioned Bagheera, I will mention Ben Kingsley. I've never seen a film, particularly like this, with so many sort of computer-generated, say, creatures and animals that have had their voice cast chosen perfectly. Ben Kingsley is Bagheera. You get a reminiscence of that character from the Disney animation. He's got the same sort of tones and things about him. Great casting there. I will then go on to the voice of Shere Khan, who is played by Idris Elba. Again, superbly chosen for that character. We have Lupita Nyong'o, who plays I forgot the female wolf's name. Apology, but she does a great job there. Giancarlo Esposito is Aquila, the leader of the pack, the wolf pack, and we've got to go then really to the two sort of the ones that really steal the show, really, in more senses than one. And we've got to go to, first of all, Bill Murray. Now, Bill Murray, we know I've done voiceover work before. He has kind of regretted it. I think we all know that is Garfield. Here he is voicing Baloo. Now, you'd think this would be a bit of obvious casting. And in a way, yes, it is. It's obvious casting that is perfect. It's truly perfect because every single line and every single moment Bill Murray is voicing Baloo on screen, you are having a good time. It's greatly comedically used. I wouldn't be surprised if he had his own sort of input in regards to what he was saying and little twitches and tweaks to dialogue and things like that. It's that sort of Bill Murray performance. So it's an absolute joy from the point of that Bill Murray Baloo performance interacting with Mowgli. I will then also now go on to Christopher Walken's King Louie. Because let's face it, whether Christopher Walken is on screen, or even here just doing a voiceover, it is always worth the time and effort to see him in that film, isn't it? The film may not usually be that good, but Christopher Walken will bring his own unique take to a film or to a character that will just make it watchable. Well, make his character watchable. And he here voices, like I say, King Louie, who's actually I'm trying to remember the actual creature that he was. Although obviously in the animated film he's an orangutan, because it's set in the jungle of India and orangutans aren't native to the jungle of India, they have decided to effectively go back to a time or have a creature that existed in India, but maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago, and that creature is called Gigantopithecus, which is effectively just a giant monkey, or if you want, a giant orangutan, if you will. That in that sense, it gives him a whole sense of menace as well. And I'm skipping ahead really here in the plot in regards to what goes on with certain aspects of it. But like I say, further voice cast is provided by Scarlett Johansson, who provides the voice of Kaa, the giant snake. And if I've got any complaints about the film, now I think again she's great casting in that position of Kaa, is that we get one scene with Kaa. Now, I know that, considering the film is trying to stretch things out to begin with, I think having less of that character didn't really not make sense, but I was a bit disappointed because, like I say, there's at least two scenes, and it's two scenes in the animation, and that's shorter. And that sort of threat and menace of that character could have been used so much more. Maybe they wanted to purely focus on the threat of Idris Elba's Shere Khan. Okay, fair enough. But I thought there could have been an interesting dynamic in regards to those two characters, because as there was in the Disney animated film. Of course, the delicate balance here of doing this sort of film, of having dark moments, and it does have sort of bits of, not kid moments, but sort of tone changes that might be more for kids. So, like I say, if you've got little criticisms about the film, is maybe that dynamic of tone. It's going for a certain thing, and then it sort of goes back to another thing. And I didn't particularly mind it, but it's rather obvious in the film, and it kind of doesn't take you out of the film, but it sort of makes you go, "Oh, that was a tonal shift, if you will." So minor criticism there. Another probably minor criticism was the pacing of the film. Now, like I say, I just said previously already regarding the pacing and trying to elongate, is that word? The story, to a longer running time, is that you're going to have effectively there were scenes where you thought this could have cut a few seconds off it, or this could even cut a minute off this, and it would have made no difference whatsoever to the story, or it would have made it a more slickly told story. They obviously want to get a bit more bang for the buck, so they want to include a bit more, and that's why the running time's a bit longer. To be fair, what is it? It's 145 minutes. You really could have had it. You could have had it a 90-minute film. I think you could have. Yeah, if I'm quite critical, you could probably have cut about 15 minutes off, and it would not have particularly made too much difference. It's just particular moments and scenes you're like, you could have cut that. You could have really cut that, really, and it would, like I say, it made no difference to how well the story was told. But like I say, there's some absolute, like I just previously regarding the environment of the film, it's an absolute visceral experience, and I went to see it actually in the IMAX, and I thought, okay, there might be something, there are a lot of positive things about the computer-generated effects. I thought, okay, this is probably the best place to see it, and it certainly lent to the grand scale of the film, that sort of environment. Just it gives the jungle absolute depth, and. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly talking about tonal shift. I'm going to do a tonal shift in this review right now. I'm just going straight into the music because it's greatly scored with hints at that original musical film hits, if you will. And you like at certain points, okay, I really like the way they use this. And then suddenly there's examples of the bare necessities sung by Bill Murray, and also I Want to Be Like You. Sung by Christopher Walken, and both, although, yes, the benefits sort of doesn't come out of the blue, hey, but it sort of makes, I wasn't quite expecting a possible musical number, but you suddenly get on board with it, and it's so superbly enjoyable, and the King, let's face it, Christopher Walken singing, what is there not to like about that, and him singing menacingly, in front of Mowgli, with loads of monkeys doing like a chorus. Yes. Fabulous stuff. Like I say, that sort of scene as well with Christopher Walken, and I might mention Neil Sefi, sorry. Neil Sefi plays Mowgli, and he's a first-time actor, and he is superb. He embodies that character from the animation. He gets the body movement absolutely perfect, and the spirit of that character. So instead of you're implanting that character from the animation, he's got it. He's done a great job of it. It's a great end credit sequence regarding. I want to go. I'm doing this whole review on the Jungle Book. I'm not getting my classic film in, am I? Sorry. There's a moment. There's effectively, like I say, Shere Khan return. I'm going to tonal shift again. Going back to regarding Shere Khan returns to the pack, and he effectively goes, "Oh, where's Mowgli?" And he says, "Oh, he's gone. He's left." But I asked him to be killed, and certain things occur that are quite dark, I must say, and it's why I was saying before, you see, where it's certainly on the edge of a PG film regarding certain things that go on in the film. Everything like I just said there, the effects are wonderful. The music is beautifully used. The voice cast is superb. Absolutely superb. Bill Murray, I can say, and Christopher Walken are absolutely outstanding, but Idris Elba is superb also. And the climactic scene is something that, I don't know whether anybody's has seen this, but the way Mowgli, as he uses his man skills, if you will, not, as previously been told not to use things that man would, he uses man skills to take on Shere Khan, and it reminded me so much of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, and the way he used the environment and his own sort of skills in the jungle. Maybe that's just me, but when I was watching the film, I was like, this is a bit of an Arnie going on here. I enjoyed it for that moment as well, but it's a superb ending as well. And yeah, I really did enjoy my time watching this film. And I'm going to stop talking because this is probably one of the longest ever reviews I've done of a film at nearly 15 minutes. But I loved quite a lot of things about it. It's extremely enjoyable. Yeah, The Jungle Book. I'm not surprised. It's great. It's such a buzz and got such an audience to go see it. $700 million at the box office in what? 2 weeks? No, it's 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. That is quite incredible. For a film that is not a sequel or anything like that. It's a standalone film. Okay, it's in relation to something else, but yeah, there we go. I'm going to stop talking. I really enjoyed The Jungle Book, the recent adaptation by Jon Favreau. Really enjoyable. Please seek it out. There we go. That's my theatrical release film. So my classic film of the week is a film that is as far away in terms of budget and in terms of not abilities, but just things available to them. And the film in question is the 1990 film Tremors. Now, for those who don't know the general premise of the film, it stars Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, who effectively do-it-yourself guys in this sort of this isolated western town. Effectively, things start occurring where people start dying. A guy is found upside a pylon up a pylon, but who's died of dehydration. Why did he die of dehydration? What has kept him up there? And then suddenly, an individual is killed, and they discover his head and all his sheep killed. So what is going on in this area? Well, it turns out what is going on in this area is that there is an infestation of some sort of underground worm. Now, this sounds really, really silly, and it is. There's no doubt the premise of it is absolutely ridiculous and absolutely silly. But what it has going for it, by absolute man, it's directed by Ron Underwood and is produced by Gail Ann Hurd, who's a regular sort of well-respected producer, and it combines the best. It's one of the best horror comedies I've ever seen, because there's some, like I say, some deaths are going on in this film. There's dark stuff going on, people getting killed, but the humour is just so jocular and it's so fun to watch, because Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, the dynamic between those characters is great. They've got some great one-liners. There's some great support from the likes of Finn Carter, who's sort of a love interest, she's not a geologist. She studies effectively tremors, and that's why she's out there. So she's hearing things. That's where we get the name obviously from, tremors. Effectively, these underground, she's sensing them, and she's like, "Oh, what is this?" There's also support by Michael Gross and Reba McEntire in terms of effectively Michael Gross is quite a gun enthusiast who sort of these sort of people who are expecting an apocalypse and are well prepared for an apocalypse. But like I say, it focuses on a small town, and effectively these creatures are attracted by vibrations on the ground, and they come and attack whenever they sense prey is there. It is silly. It is, goddamn, is it silly? But like I say, it's such a fun film. The effects are done by Tom Woodruff Jr., who's somebody who's obviously previously worked in Stan Winston's studio, so that's some great credibility right there, and Alec Gillis as well. So some really interesting creatures. There's no doubt of it. They're not top end creature effects, but there's some really good stuff they've got going on there with those Graboids, as they are dubbed in the film. Yeah, I don't know what to sort of say more than that. I think maybe it will take a particular type of audience go to enjoy this film. It certainly embodies the spirit of what effectively it's been described often as one of the best B movies ever made, and people often say, what is a B movie? A B movie is generally a film that has quite a stupid premise, doesn't usually have a lot of talent maybe behind it, but encaptures the spirit of just enthusiasm for filmmaking. And to be fair, one aspect of that doesn't apply here in terms of and definitely one aspect that doesn't apply is the fact that it's untalented people make, because they are certainly talented people who make it, just by the form of the writing and the performance and the way the film is so enjoyable to watch. So it's a truly, truly greatly enjoyable film. There's no doubt it's not breaking any boundaries in terms of genres or things like that. It encapsulates what is fun about those genres' impacts. In fact, you look at the DVD cover, or I think even the poster, the fact that it's ripping on Jaws is just pretty much tells you all you need to know about the film. So yeah, it's a greatly, greatly fun and dark in a way. Comedy horror film, science fiction horror film that I think you should seek out, because I really do enjoy it, and it's one of my favourite films of that sort of creature feature, if you will, genre. So yeah, Tremors, very, very enjoyable film. That's my classic film of the week. My theatrical release film of the week was, of course, the live action version of Jon Favreau's, directed by Jon Favreau, which is The Jungle Book. Very, very engrossing and very, very immersive, that film. yeah, there we go. That's my films of the week. So I thank you very much if you have for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed what I've had to say. If you have, please do subscribe to me, and I hope to see and speak to you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.